residents in the city. They had been shutting off water for years, but nowhere on this scale.
Welcome, beloved community. We are back again with yet another installment of the People's Water Board Coalition's Water Wednesdays webcast. And as always, I am here with my beloved co-host, Valerie Jean.
Hi, everyone.
And we can never forget our behind-the-scenes tech guru. I mean, I don't even know what to call her at this point. She's surpassed a guru. She's like a zenist when it comes to doing tech. If it's something technical, she's got it. She keeps us running smoothly and consistently week after week, bringing relevant content to all of our viewers, Miss Angelica. And today, people, we have a hot topic show. Just a couple things we want to put out there on your radar, and it's a short show, so we're going to jump right into it.
Thanks, Nicole. There's a handful of things that we want to get people, keep people abreast on. Of course, the work that we do here at the PWBC is really important, and we want folks to know what we're doing on a daily basis so that we can secure a water affordability plan for every Michigander.
Yes.
And this last week, right, we went to Jackson and we met with Representative Schmaltz. And it was a good meeting. We talked about, the water crisis that's happening, the affordable water crisis that's happening in Jackson. What'd you think?
So as Valerie said, viewers, we met with Representative Kathy Schmaltz. First of all, when I say, this might be off topic, but I think she is one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen. I love her whole vibe, her whole aesthetic, and her personality. She is one of the few legislators that I have met that I can say she's really interested in what's going on in her community with her constituents, and she very much cares about what is going on and how it affects them. And she seemed to care earnestly about what we were saying about water affordability and what it could mean for the Jackson residents, which I used to call Jacksonians, but I heard someone say they're Jacksonites. So I will rephrase that and call them Jacksonites. We already had a resolution passed at the local level.
Jackson passed the resolution.
Unanimously passed through the city council and the mayor.
We support the water affordability legislation in all of its glory. And that was big because the folks there in Jackson desperately need.
And they were one of the first communities to actually pass it, and then pass it unanimously. Like no one was against it. We even had their city manager sign a letter of support and how he hopes this will mean big things for Jackson.
Yep.
So that was great in and of itself. And now to couple that with their state representative being supportive of it, she did want to review the bills in depth, but one thing that particularly stuck out to her was the shut-off protection, which is very, very important because me doing so much research on different cities and towns and communities across Michigan, there are I've already researched maybe about 40 towns and communities, and out of that, maybe 3 actually have a no shut-off policy. The rest of them, They will shut you off. They don't care.
If you can't pay, if you're having a hard time paying, you're getting cut off. That's it.
Yeah,
and that's really and it's happening all over Michigan, as you know, because of that research. We know that this is happening all over Michigan. That
it's not just
here
a Wayne
Detroit,
County.
Like Detroiters desperately need to have.
We do.
To have water shut off protections, but all over Michigan that's happening, and we have to make sure that these towns know that they're not alone, that there are people that are fighting with them and trying to make a big change when it comes to legislation. It's just so important.
Particularly the smaller towns, because I think, how devastating it has been for Detroit residents to deal with water shutoffs and water affordability. And we're a tremendously large city compared to some of these smaller cities and towns where they may not have the economic backbone to be as sustainable as Detroit is. So I can just imagine how this hits these smaller towns, particularly, me thinking as an elderly person, getting what I'm going to do in my elder years, I would probably want to move to a smaller town, and just thinking that there may be a lot of seniors, elderly and disabled up there
Well,
that
there
can't
is
afford
all
their
over
water
Michigan.
bill. And we're seeing that when we talk to the community.
Right. And most of these towns don't have, just like Detroit, most of these towns don't have like a program to help people, right? To assist
Exactly.
people. Not that assistance is affordability, it's not. But they don't even have that. Detroit doesn't even have that right now, right?
No,
There's no assistance programs in these towns and in Detroit. We don't see that anywhere. And so you have to have legislation. You have to have a water
it's a
affordability plan.
must.
You have to have some way to make sure that people aren't getting shut off. Otherwise, you end up like what we did with COVID, right? Where you had a public health emergency
Yes,
when all
yes,
of these
yes.
other things, like this is really, really important, right?
I'm
And so
so
we're going to
glad
be
that you
going.
mentioned that you mentioned COVID, not to go off topic, but I just really want our viewers to realize that even though there was a state mandate of no shutoffs of water during COVID, that didn't cover people who were already shut off.
No, it took a long time for them to get folks that were already shut off turned back on. And
If it was
that's a whole, I could do
possible.
a whole nother show about that, honestly, on all the
Exactly,
factors
exactly.
that led into that. But the fact is it took people that were already shut off it took them a long time to get those people turned back on. And so
If they
that's,
were able to.
water should never be shut off anywhere at any time. It's absolutely essential that people have clean, affordable, safe water running into their homes. That is, it just has to, we know that the water rates aren't going to go down. They're not,
No, they're not.
because the infrastructure has to be fixed. And there's other things that are at play there too, but mostly it's the infrastructure. It hasn't been updated and it has to be fixed, and it's a big deal to do it. So
It is.
we know that water bills aren't going to go down. So we have to have safe. We have to make sure that people aren't being harmed throughout the process and getting their water shut off. And let's not talk. I mean, even talk about what children go through when they don't have water in their home.
The
The shame and
trauma,
the
the
trauma, all of that.
shame,
Right.
emotionally and physically. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because again, I was doing a lot of surveys and research around that a couple years ago with people who were former shutoffs. Whether they were restored or not was irrelevant. We want to know what their outcomes were. And we found so many of these households that had small children in it that had disorders and diseases that you expect an elderly person to have.
Yeah. No,
Like
it's
their blood
traumatic and
pressure
it's
was
hard
through
on
the
them.
roof.
Yeah.
They had psychological issues from the PTSD. They had children whose parents were telling us their children had developed kidney stones because they weren't drinking water.
It just,
Why are you
it's
8 years
heartbreaking.
old with kidney stones?
Yeah. No, the whole thing is heartbreaking, and water should never be shut off. So we're going this week. We're going to be heading to Battle Creek, hoping to get
Yes,
another resolution passed for that city council to support the water affordability legislation. And we're going back to Bay City to actually get that home run, right? Like
yes,
we've been in Bay City a handful of times. We've been working with the people on the ground. So we're really hoping that they're going to pass a resolution as well, saying that they're supporting the water affordability
yes,
legislation that Senator Chang has championed throughout this whole thing. And so that's,
absolutely.
that's kind of what we've been up to. We are on the ground,
Yes, we
we
are
are
on the ground
organizing, and
or
we're
the
making sure
ice.
that, yeah, that's right.
The snow don't stop us.
No, no, no matter what, we're on the ground, we're organizing, and
Yes,
we're trying to make sure that we get this legislation pushed through.
yes,
There is a lot going on in Michigan. Last week, regarding data centers, the governor has come out really, really publicly saying, it's essential to get these things pushed through. And we talked to Seth Bernard last week. Hopefully, folks tuned in. If you didn't, it was a great show. He even sang us a song. You should definitely tune in to kind of understand what's happening with the data center struggle. But this coming Tuesday, folks are going to be meeting in Lansing, and we need everybody to be there.
Yes.
Everything that we're about to talk about is going to be in the description box down below so that you can get plugged in and start sharing it. And it's going to be on all of our social media platforms. But exciting, right, Nicole? Like we're going to be in Lansing on Tuesday. Folks are going to be on the ground protesting in Lansing, saying that we don't want any fast tracks. They actually have a whole set of demands. The top message, it's simple and it's urgent. No secret deals, because they're worried about backroom deals with big tech companies and DTE. No fast track utility approvals. DTE, you hear us? No fast track. We don't want any of that. No NDAs, no redactions, no backdoor negotiations with big tech. Those are the main calls, right? And they're also saying a statewide moratorium should be put on data center approvals. This is, this is all happening too quick, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that last one particularly because I just have this scenario in my head of a data center coming near you, just
right.
They're popping up everywhere, every free space they can find. They want to put a data center. And it makes me wonder, like, if they put this much energy into affordable housing for people or put this much energy into ensuring that everyone had water affordability and could afford their water.
And this directly connects to water affordability, right? Because these data centers get their water for free and use a whole bunch of it.
Absolutely
a whole
free.
Bunch of it. But the homes that live around them, they can't afford their water.
And I guarantee you, and I never say this, but the data centers are worse consumers of water than Blue Triton / Nestle is, because they pay absolutely nothing, not even the permit to drill. They just utilize all the water.
They get to use the water. They contaminate it, and what they don't contaminate it.
And the thing is that don't think because this contaminated water evaporates that's not going to create some type of pollution problem in and of itself.
It is.
Along
These
with
data centers
affordability.
are soil polluting, energy suckers. Like they pollute the water, the air, the soil, everything, and they use up ungodly amounts of energy to run.
And I guarantee you that because they use so much water, that's going to directly impact the rates of people in those communities.
Their energy bills and their water bills.
Yes, energy and water is going to skyrocket.
Yes, it is. It's already been proven. People have already started talking about it. And when I went to the town hall meeting in Howell, Michigan, they had expert panels, right? This one guy worked for the government. He's a tech person who worked for the government. He said, look, these things, just like any other technology, they're going to be obsolete in 10, 15 years. They're going to be absolutely obsolete. So you're just going to have these big, huge, polluting buildings that nobody can live around because of the pollution that they cause, and nobody's going to buy that property. They're just going to sit there and die because tech companies and big corporations, they don't clean up after themselves. You don't see that anywhere.
It's funny you say that because I just, I watch ads when they come on my phone. I'm starting to pay more attention to them because a lot of these ads let you know what's coming to your neighborhood. And they had an ad where the co-founder of Apple, I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Wozniak. He's like, AI is already becoming obsolete. And I'm like, what? And he's like, now it's they were talking about something like synthetic AI or something like that they're talking about they're creating. And how did it just get here and it's
That's
already
how technology works. So these buildings are going to be obsolete. This push, these millions and millions of tax dollars and rebates and all this stuff that's going in, these are going to be obsolete and they're going to do nothing but pollute the land. That's what that looks like.
And the only one who's going to benefit from all of this are the big companies that own the data centers. They're going to walk away with all their money, their big tax breaks, their rebates, and then the community is going to be left struggling, trying to figure out what to do with this big monstrosity in the middle of their community that's causing pollution and how it directly correlates to rate increases around water and energy for the community around it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the demands too, to end corporate handouts, right? Like, stop giving our tax
Yeah.
dollars to these corporations that don't give a shit about us. Don't do that, right? Protection of Michigan's land and water, support the rural communities being bullied and sued into silence, right? And then, I mean, their statement, this is a nonpartisan statewide movement, right? Left, right, and everything in between. We are united as Michiganders. So this is really, really important.
Yes.
On Tuesday is December, let me get here. It's December 16th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Michigan State Capitol. We're going to have all of the information down below, including the Facebook event, so that people can go and kind of see all of the things that are going on and being discussed there. But we have to show up right now. And the public, and another thing that people need to understand is the public pressure is working. It is stopping these, and you want to, if you haven't, and I'll say it again, if you haven't seen last week's Water Wednesday with Seth Bernard, you need to, because he talks about that and he brings a very human aspect to it. It's a very important show. So, and we'll connect that down below in the description box. So we're hoping to see everybody in Lansing on Tuesday, right? And we're on the ground. Nicole and I are on the ground every day trying to
Yes.
bring up-to-date news to you every week, so that you can stay abreast of these things that are going on and plug in the simplest way possible. Our tech person
Absolutely.
is going to connect all that stuff in the description
And
box
I
down
just
below, so you
wanted
can plug in.
to say one thing for our viewers, and I hate to sound morbid before we go, but I want to say this in reference to what you were saying about the contamination that these data centers are going to cause to our water, our air, and our soil, our natural resources. Don't let them make you believe it's anything different. At one point in time, everybody thought that the chemicals they were using for fire retardants and nonstick skillets were the big rage, and they were manufacturing it hand over foot, putting it in all these products. And now 10, 20, 15, 20, 30 years later, we see this huge PFAS and PFOS crisis.
Yeah.
That's what will happen with data
Where it's in the
centers, too.
rain.
It's
literally in the rain.
When they literally
No getting away
in
from it.
almost everything that we have. We don't want to see that happen again. We're already trying to mitigate the harmful chemicals that are in our environment now.
That's right.
We don't need them adding to it.
No. For obsolete technology. For stuff
Or to
that
just
we don't
benefit their
need
pocket.
and is going to be obsolete in the future.
Right.
Thank you, Nicole, for
Absolutely.
always doing this with me. It's,
Of course.
it's really important to us to bring to people the truth and what's happening on a daily basis and a weekly basis here in Michigan, but also throughout the country and around the world. It's almost the end of the year. It's not our last show of the year. We're going to continue to have shows throughout until, all the way until next year. But we do want to, say that thank you for tuning in every week this year.
Yes.
2005 has been really hard on a lot of people, on a lot of communities, but we're in this together, right?
Yes, we are.
We are. And, with the holidays coming up, things are really difficult for people. Try to look out for each other, try to call and check on each other, and try to stay afloat together.
Just be kind to each other.
That's right.
Yeah, we need a lot more kindness in this world. If it's nothing but just a kind word, every little bit helps.
That's right. Let's try to take care of each other. It's the time to do that. Thank you. Bye.